Hello everyone and welcome back. I know, I've uploaded 2 weeks in a row. It's a miracle. Go me. Today we're going to be looking at the most powerful artificial intelligence algorithm on the market. And I'm going to very politely ask the robots who I should bring in for a wildcard in game week 30. I'm not going to hang around today, so we'll get straight into it. But if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Okay, cool. So heading over to Fantasy Football Hub, this is my current squad. Now, for me personally, I don't think I need to wildcard in game week 30, but I know there are a lot of managers who are looking to and want to go maybe a week before to get an advantage on everyone else. Personally though, just as a disclaimer before we get into the AI, I do think that you should wait until game week 31 as then all of the double game weeks will be confirmed. At the moment, we are sort of just guessing for some of them. Okay, so anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to AI transfers, input elevator music. Okay, so currently it's recommending that I make 3 transfers to my team, which is low-key kind of nuts because I only have 1 free transfer. But anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell it that we are wildcarding in game week 30. So if I just go down here, activate game week 30, save, and then it should just automatically update the transfers. I think it's doing it now. Just a disclaimer before we get into the transfers, I will be doing my own wildcard draft at the end of this video because some of these are going to be very strange. You've got to remember AI doesn't really take into account form and a lot of things like that. They purely go on expected points. So on the face of it, they're thinking I should sell Evanilson to Isak because he has much higher predicted points, especially in game week 32. That's because they've got a double game week. João Pedro to Raul Jimenez. That feels a bit sideways to me. Not sure about what you guys think. There really isn't too much of a points gain there. Bruno Fernandes to Savinho. That really catches my eye. I'm not sure if Savinho is a player I'll be bringing in. He's obviously quite a big rotation risk, but he is also a lot cheaper than someone like Bruno Fernandes, who, off the top of my head, United do not have the best fixtures on the horizon. Okay, this is the first transfer I have a major problem with. Bryan Mbeumo to Semenyo. Now, on the face of it, most people would think, that is a good move, let's do that. In my opinion, that is mental. Absolutely mental. Not a lot of managers seem to know this, but Semenyo is 1 yellow card off of a 2-game ban. That is such a high risk for me, and I do not understand that transfer in the slightest. Trossard to Ismaila Sarr, that's a good move. I'm on board with that one. And of course, Crystal Palace currently have a double game week in 32. Dango to Minter, I actually referenced Minter in my video last week. I think he has very good fixtures on the horizon and he is a great enabler, especially for teams that want to keep Salah and Haaland. Aina to Gvardiol, again, it's kind of sideways. Yes, Gvardiol has slightly higher expected points over the next few weeks, but he is quite a bit more expensive. I don't know if that 0.6 million could be better spent elsewhere. And this is why I said earlier, waiting until game week 31 is probably a better idea, just purely for the fact that we will know who is then doubling in 33. Also, I'm not the biggest fan of Livramento as a pick. For me, if I was going to triple up, as it's making me do here on Newcastle with bringing in Dan Burn for Greaves, I would not be tripling up on a Newcastle defence or doubling up on a Newcastle defence. 3 clean sheets in their last 10 games, for me, they are a massive avoid. Pickford to Martinez, again, I don't really think there's a whole lot of value in that. It's just gaining 0.1 million. I don't mind it, but I feel like there's probably better goalkeepers available, especially towards the back end of the season. Now this move I really like, Fabianski to Henderson. Yes, it is 0.6 million more, but Henderson obviously has the double game week in 32, and he plays Southampton in game week 30. All right, let's make these transfers, see what it optimizes the team as, and then we can look at it on a flat format. Okay, so interestingly, this is what the AI has come up with for game week 30. They prefer Henderson in goal, which is an obvious choice if you ask me, over Martinez. Gabriel, Gvardiol and Munoz. Some really nice fixtures in there with 2 of them at home and then the other one at Southampton away. Salah, Ismaila Sarr, Semenyo, Savinho and Minter. Again, decent fixtures. I really like the look of that midfield for game week 30. And then Haaland and Isak up front. The bench will be Martinez, Raul Jimenez, Dan Burn and Livramento. Okay, so I've kind of mentioned a few of the players that I do have a small issue with going into game week 30. Henderson, I love. I don't think Martinez is definitely required. Gabriel has good fixtures until the end of the season, so even though he's been massively underperforming recently, Fulham at home, Everton away, Brentford at home, Ipswich away, Palace at home, and then Bournemouth at home, you can't really grumble, and then you could just get rid of him before Liverpool away. So Manchester City assets are a really good one. They're going to have 2 more double game weeks this season, and you can see from the fixtures here, they have a good run ahead of them. Leicester, United, Palace, Everton, Aston Villa, Wolves and Southampton. In my opinion, they are a much better option than the Crystal Palace assets. So although Crystal Palace have been one of the best teams in the league of recent, they do have some difficult fixtures on the horizon. Obviously they have Southampton, which is great. Brighton have been a lot better recently than Man City and Newcastle in their double game week. And then Bournemouth, Arsenal, Forest and Tottenham. I get that a lot of wildcards are looking to triple up on them for the double game week, but sometimes you have to take the fixtures into account. They've got Man City and Newcastle away. And yes, do not get me wrong, Palace have been brilliant away recently, but we cannot ignore that their fixtures aren't great, let's be honest. So, Mo Salah, let's talk about him. I've seen a few creators mention that he could be sold. I know, it seems crazy, he is on a record-breaking season. I don't think I have the balls to sell him, I'm not going to lie to you, but their fixtures are okay, they're not bad, but he doesn't have any more double game weeks. So you have to ask yourself, can you still get a good team with him and Haaland and attack the double game weeks? I think it's very, very difficult. For Crystal Palace assets, Ismaila Sarr is at the top of my list just purely because Mateta, we don't know how he's going to be coming back. Yes, he will probably play in game week 30, but there is no guarantee. The only thing that concerns me with Ismaila Sarr is the fact that he's not the most consistent player ever. And their fixtures, again, as I mentioned previously, they're not the best. So I think having him at a price of 5.6 million is great, but you do have to factor in he is not going to return week in, week out for you. I've spoken about Semenyo. Overall, Bournemouth have some decent fixtures, but they've also not won in 4 or 5 now. So we have to keep that in mind, that they are not the most informed team. And especially after throwing a 2-0 loss to Tottenham, there are some red flags there, guys. Minter is a brilliant pick. He will probably be in my draft just purely because at 5 million, you're getting a player that starts, plays pretty much 90 minutes every week, and he's quite a consistent performer. Raul Jimenez, I have massive issue with. After looking at the fixtures, I have no idea why the AI has decided to swap someone like João Pedro, who's in decent form, for Raul Jimenez. Arsenal, Liverpool, Bournemouth, Chelsea, Villa. That's 5 of their last 7 games. That's nuts. And he's not the most consistent scoring striker ever. He's not the vocal point. Half the time they bring Muniz in and he performs better than him anyway. So, not for me. He will not be in my wildcard. I feel like for a lot of teams, it's going to be Isak or Chris Wood. I think that's pretty straightforward. Chances are that Newcastle might have another double game week on top of game week 32. Their fixtures are pretty good, and Chris Wood hasn't returned in about 4 games, so I understand why the AI has gone with Alexander Isak on this occasion. I am shocked though that the AI has not included any Nottingham Forest assets, not a single one in this entire team. When you have someone like Elanga who has pretty good fixtures, he's cheap at 5.3 million, and he's a low ownership. He's a good differential and he's been in good form recently. But as mentioned, the AI just doesn't take into account form and things like that. They purely go pretty much on predicted points. So with the Newcastle defensive double, I can only assume it's because they've got Leicester in 31 and then Man United and Crystal Palace in 32. Out of those 3 fixtures, I could see them picking up 2 clean sheets. But Palace away are no mugs. Brentford are no mugs when it comes to scoring goals. Leicester, yeah, okay, they've not scored in like 7, but at some point that's going to end. Call me crazy, but I actually think their most likely clean sheet could come from Manchester United at home. Okay, give me roughly 10 seconds on screen time. I'm going to build a draft that I think is perfect for game week 30. Okay, so very, very quickly, we will go through the changes I've made. This is very early doors. There are still a round of FA Cup games to be played in between now and the deadline, so we need to factor that into, I might change this. So, first change, I changed Martinez to Kepa from Bournemouth. Bournemouth are still one of the best defensive sides in the league. I'm not the biggest fan of that Aston Villa defence this season, and I think he has brilliant rotation with Henderson over the next few weeks, and he's 0.6 mil cheaper. The back three stays the same. I'm quite happy with Gabriel, Munoz and Gvardiol. The only other defensive change, I've kept Dan Burn because I like the fact that we can use him for the double game weeks, but I did swap out Livramento for Aina. But that could be any Nottingham Forest defender. I think if you don't have a slice of that Nottingham Forest defence towards the end of the season, you're going to regret it, or you're going to waste transfers bringing it in later on. For me, every team should probably include one Nottingham Forest defensive asset. So the midfield has gone through some major changes, as well as the attack has. So I've of course upgraded Raul Jimenez to Chris Wood. Now to fund this, I did touch on it earlier, but I've had to downgrade Mohamed Salah to Bruno Fernandes. I know. Stop throwing stuff at me. I know, I'm sorry, okay? Selling Mo Salah feels crazy. Actually, having a team with no Liverpool assets feels mental. And that is probably the one area where I can see myself changing this down the line. But this team does have 0.3 million to spare. It has a 99% game week rating, a 97% team rating. So even though I have changed things, the AI still loves it. The other change I have made, I have upgraded Semenyo to Cliver. He's their penalty taker, he is their captain, and let's be honest, he is their best asset this season. I think he's just someone you buy, hold, and forget about. And in the last change you'll see, I can't actually remember who was here. Who the hell was there? I'm not checking the footage back just to know, but it's Jared Bowen now, okay? Again, another penalty taker. We love penalty takers. West Ham actually have some decent fixtures, and he's there mainly for kind of rotation. You know, Wolves, Bournemouth, good fixtures. Liverpool away, probably bench him that week. Southampton, Brighton, Spurs, United, all good fixtures. I don't care that it says it's red. It's still a good fixture for a goal scorer. And now that he is back fit, West Ham looks slightly better. I do expect some returns from him. And then obviously the bench, kind of Henderson, but I would definitely start him for game week 30. Dan Burn, Aina and Minter. All in all, I think that is a pretty solid wildcard that will allow you to save transfers to attack game week 35, game week 36. And if you're a manager that doesn't have a free hit left, you are going to need to save transfers for the blank game week in 34. As always, I have tried to make this pretty quick and pretty concise, but before editing, I genuinely have no idea how long this video will be. But if you have enjoyed the video, please smash that like button and subscribe. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers. If you're going to activate your wildcard in game week 30, let me know who you're selecting in the comments. And if you're interested in checking out Fantasy Football Hub, there is always a link in the description. It is a great tool for helping you climb those ranks, and it has fun little features that let you monitor your friends' progress. Anyway, I will see you later.